You know I had to do it to him. Illuvium Zero is finally rewarding its player base. You are now allowed to keep the blueprints that you were earning from actually playing the game and advancing to a requisite tech level to where you could research all these facts about different alluvials that you discover and turn that into cosmetic items. They haven't implemented the system that allows for selling fuel for ETH, for example, since the actual Illuvium overworld itself is not fully ready to go yet. They're still in private beta 2. And so I believe the idea is that once it rolls out into either open beta or the full release of the product, you will be able to take the fuel that you're actually extracting from your land plots and sell that to other people for them to use in Illuvium to go out on these excursions and find alluvials and capture them. And so this kind of companion game experience isn't fully there yet. And you're actually not even able to do anything with the blueprints yet. You are just allowed to keep them for future use, and hopefully we'll find out, more plans for them in the future. The idea of drinking coffee in a cream sweater, not a good call. But really, these last few months since my last Illuvium video in February have mainly been around creating a more polished experience for everyone. So they've gotten rid of a lot of bugs, although there are still little oddities here and there, especially with the sound quality that I've noticed. But they've mainly focused on game-breaking bugs, saving, getting the state right. I assume a lot of back-end work and things like that to ensure that state is being saved correctly and bugs are being quashed ahead of the full release of these games. But one thing that's really concerning me is that there's still not a whole lot to do once you actually get to the point where you're unlocking these blueprints. And this game is designed to make you play less of it as you go, because as you upgrade your buildings, you have to check on them less. So like my extractors right now, I believe I have to check on them every 3 to 6 hours, depending on what level they're at. So in the beginning, it was every 10 minutes. I would have to click, and then it would give me some resources, and then I could go and either upgrade something or use those resources to further my progression. And now it feels like, yes, I'm furthering my progression, but I'm just not playing the game as much, and there's not as much to do. And so my interest has waned. From the very beginning, I was super gung-ho on it. I was having a lot of fun, playing the project a lot. Now I would say that I log in, maybe twice a day. While that sounds like a lot, when you compare it to other mobile games where they might have you getting sent notifications, every half hour or hour even in some cases, I don't like those kind of games anymore, but that used to be my mainstay. And I would say that, the game design makes sense if you have something else to do. And you're trying to get the player to kind of feel that they're progressing, right? And so it's a delicate balance. But you want the player to feel like they're progressing into something meaningful and then actually give them something meaningful. And so the way that you do that is through usually PvP or some kind of, guild system to encourage, people to stick around. Sorry, I don't know if that plane's gonna come through on the mic, but it is really distracting. Also, check out this sick Illuvium merch. I'm actually really, really happy with this sweater. I mean, it was expensive. Definitely, only bought one, but I'm pretty happy with the quality. It fits me decently. It's a little baggy, which I kind of like. For Illuvium Zero, what I think they're intending the end game to look like is for players to sell fuel to people playing the main Illuvium game and to collect these blueprints to use as cosmetics, again, for the main Illuvium game. And so that means it is a completely companion product. I don't think they're planning to make this like a really standalone experience, which makes sense, and that was kind of part of their mission statement. However, I think it's a mistake because you are only allowed to actually participate in either of those things if you own a land plot, which is constrained by the amount of land plots that are existent. And they're giving you a free way to play the game, but why would you? You're not actually getting anything by playing the game, and after the first, few days, they make you play the game less and less, and then there's nothing to work towards. You're just upgrading and clicking, and so it's not even like a good Skinner box type experience. You're not getting anything out of being a free-to-play player, and that doesn't allow the Illuvium brand to kind of permeate into the space as effectively as if there was more to do. Now, I get that they're also adding in some kind of store for like these credits that you can buy that will allow you to do other things. I don't think that's going to radically change the gameplay. What it's going to do is allow you to pay to win, essentially, quote unquote. But even then, I mean, you can't use it for the fuel or the blueprints, so does it really matter? I mean, you're just paying to play the game less. So I don't really take that as like a good kind of end game scenario. I think they really need to add in more to this game. And I know that they don't want to do that because their main focus is on the overworld. But if you're going to put out an experience like this and put so much time and effort into it and make it like a really quality experience that I personally really enjoy, I think there needs to be, you know, a reason to keep playing and that it should be enjoyable. So something that I've kind of really taken a hold of when I was playing a different game for this channel called Eternal Paradox, I'll link it above in the card if you want to check that out. They have what are called seasons, where the game itself actually only runs for 3 weeks and then it resets and everybody sets back to zero and you have to fight for the resources all over again. I think that something like that makes a lot of sense for Illuvium Zero, and from what I understand, they're actually implementing a season system, so they're not too far off base here. I think it makes sense from the standpoint that they want players logging in every season to kind of make sure that they're putting in the time and not just getting these fuels for free with you know, the benefits granted by their land plots. You know, you have to keep up with Illuvium in order to continue to earn from it. But I think that what they could do is have some kind of either cooperation system or competition system built into these seasons to give extra rewards. And to me, that would really incentivize me to keep playing. And so something they could do is like a leaderboard system where, you know, maybe the top X amount of players, let's say 100 for the sake of ease, in your bracket, like so your tier of land plots. So I have a tier 2 land plot, but they go from 0 to 5. So let's say the top 100 players in your tier get like X amount of ILV tokens, or maybe a super cool blueprint, or, you know, some fuel or something. And it can graduate like based on, you know, the top person gets the most and the 100th person gets the least out of these and things like that. Just something relatively easy for the developers to implement that gives a whole lot of value and staying power to the actual end game purpose of the game and keeps players coming back even when they're not playing as much. You need incentive and reason to come back more than just clicking a couple buttons and then closing the game every day. I don't think that's very helpful for the Illuvium brand, and it kind of feels like a waste to me as far as like them putting their efforts into this game. And so what I think Illuvium Zero really needs is some further system to kind of pull the end game together and create a cohesive experience. And it doesn't have to be much. Beyond that, I'm really enjoying the game. I love the little details and everything, and I mean, I said this in my first like kind of overview of it, but the graphics are awesome for like a little phone game. It has like really evolved from what they had originally shown off, and I'm still playing it. I think it's enjoyable. I didn't play it much after that overview video in February because there was no incentive for me to play, and so after I upgraded to a certain point, I just lost interest, and I think that's still the case here. I'm losing interest, but at least there's an incentive for me to get all the blueprints unlocked and then stop playing. So I guess there's that. The Illuvium ecosystem is moving at a breakneck pace right now, and I'm really excited about what they have to offer. Check out this video on screen now if you haven't seen the Overworld beta. It is so cool. Like, they are really talented artists and developers over at the Illuvium team. I'm really excited to see what they have to show off for us here in the near-term future. Thanks. Catch you in the next one.